This is a dramatic reenactment. Matsun just texted me and said that apparently we're not going to be getting any medals for the triathlon because COVID. Even though when we signed up, it specifically said we were getting a number, a bathing cap, and snacks when we were going to be done.
Me being a quote-unquote good boyfriend decided that I would make her a plaque.
Jeff, did you finish my plaque? Jeff, did you finish my plaque? Jeff, did you finish the plaque?
This is a story about how I saved my relationship. Nah, this is actually a story about how I made a plaque for my partner. Here's the plan. I have a few pieces of scrap cherry that I cut down to size. I'm going to engrave a design onto the plaque with my CNC, paint the entire plaque, sand off the surface of the plaque, and call it a day. I can hollow out a section from the back for her race number and sandwich it between 2 sheets of plexiglass. Easy peasy, right? I came up with a unique design that I definitely didn't copy from anywhere. Anyways, I drew up a design in CAD with the idea that I would put her race number in the middle of the plaque by sandwiching it between 2 sheets of plexiglass and gluing it to the back. I enlisted the help of my partner to give her final opinion of the design. After, I did some cam work on Fusion 360 in preparation for the CNC. For this project, I'm using a few pieces of scrap cherry I had laying around in my shop. I measured the length and cut it down using my circular saw. I jointed the edges using my table saw and glued it all together. It was a lot larger than I had initially thought. I mean, I know I drew it up in CAD, but it really doesn't put into perspective how large the plaque was going to be. I took off the clamps and I flattened the board using my planer. Now we're ready for the CNC. I drew a center line on the workpiece and centered the engraving bit, and it was off to the races. Part 2 was to hollow out the section for the race number. I hit run, and then well, the reason that it almost caught fire was because Sleepy Jeff completely forgot to change the adaptive clear toolpath depth of cut and tried to take all the material off in a single pass. After looking at the toolpaths a bit, I noticed that I could improve the process by performing the contour toolpath prior to the adaptive clear toolpath. This way, the CNC wouldn't need to remove so much material. Looking good so far, so it's time to clean the engravings. Tape off the areas I don't want covered in paint, and start painting. Alright, so it's time to get off all this excess paint by sanding it. And this is when I realized I messed up. So what happened here is that I pulled the paint onto the wood and it soaked into the wood. When I was applying the paint, the spray can is clearly way too close and I used way too much paint. Gotta figure out how to fix this now. I decided that I had enough thickness to plane off the initial engraving and re-engrave it on the CNC. The second time around, I was much more prepared. I taped everything off as much as I could, and I did 2 thin layers rather than 1 thick glob. After a bit of sanding, the engravings came through, and it's finally starting to look like a piece of art. Well, at least in my eyes. I touched up some of the imperfections with a black pen and a red pen. As for the finish, I used this Varathane Diamond exterior water-based finish. I'm no expert, but this worked fine for me. It's water-based and pretty easy to apply, with a 3-hour dry time between layers. If you have finishes you'd recommend, feel free to leave a comment below. I'm looking for suggestions. I snapped a few pieces of plexiglass to fit inside the indent. I made a few mistakes, but it worked out in the end. Anyways, I taped the race number to the inside and placed another sheet of plexiglass to sandwich it in between. I used hot glue to keep it in place. I found that it stuck to the cherry fairly well, and if I created a lip with it, it held the plexiglass pretty good in place. If it works, I guess. I nailed in a sawtooth hanger on the rear, and the plaques were complete. Overall, I'm really satisfied with the final product, and I learned a few things along the way. I have to say, my partner and her best friend are both really happy with the result. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Otherwise, if you like this video, leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button.